Hi everyone. Welcome to the first show of Truth in Tech, where we look at some of the week's best tech stories and give our perspective on why they're interesting. As I said, this is the first one, so forgive us if there are any awkward points because we're just kind of working it out. But I think we figured the format would be we'll talk about the two stories that really stood out to us and then go over a couple other things we thought were interesting and end with an app of the week. So I'm going to kick it off with probably the story that everyone is talking about the most, which is Instagram's change to their user rights policy, or disputed change. They did change some of the language in a way that made some people think that they no longer owned their own photos, and that their photos could be sold to third-party services. That's actually, according to the CEO of Instagram, not true. What is likely to happen is something sort of along the lines of Facebook's sponsored stories, where, say, like your friend, like Abby, likes fudgesicles. Fudgesicle pictures would show up in your feed with her likes, something like that. So that, some people might still have issues with that, but rest assured your photos are still yours, and they will not be sold to third-party services. So that's good news, but it was also a good lesson to Instagram not to publish sort of obscure legal documents without, announcing them beforehand. Anyways, Elisa, do you have any? I think you had an Instagram story that you thought was interesting as well.
Yeah, I was going to say along the same lines of with Instagram and Twitter are on a little bit of a war where Twitter dropped dropped Instagram, so it's no longer hosting all of their pictures on Twitter. So if you saw your Instagram photos are no longer there, or they don't even show up in your feed when you click the drop-down preview. So they're taking it directly to Instagram's site. So they're having a little bit of a beef with each other. And fun fact I just read on theweek.com is that the Instagram founder, Kevin Systrom, once interned for Twitter. Twitter's
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way. Oh. Interesting. I wonder if they got along back in the day.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so that was a big spat. The other big story that we had this week, I think, Elise, you mentioned that Google Maps is now available on the iPhone.
Yes! Google Maps is finally back on the iPhone.
Have you downloaded it?
I have. I downloaded it immediately because
I was waiting to upgrade to the new iOS because I was like, I don't want Apple Maps. Although I was kind of curious to see how bad they really were, but I just kind of waited.
I know. I usually wait too for the software updates to see if any glitches happen. And then this time around, I actually did update when
you did?
Yeah, and the Maps was the one thing I always used on my phone, especially for public transportation.
Yeah.
And the 6.0 or whatever for iPhone, it rerouted me to here, download these public transportation.
No. Oh my God, that's terrible.
That's not okay. And so,
do you ever use one of our former developers made this MBTA app that tells you when it only works for buses, but it tells you when they're coming?
Yeah, Catch the Bus, I think is what it's called. Yeah. Yes, I haven't used that one, but I do. I was gonna look into checking that one out. Do you use Next Bus or Open MBTA?
Okay, I think it's the MBTA opened up their data pretty early on, so now there's a bunch of good ways to find out where they're coming, but still not having it on Google is really annoying. It's exciting to have it back.
So now they're back.
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
And it works really well. I've used it quite a bit now, so it's pretty simple, streamlined.
Great. Well, before we totally move on from the big consumer tech giants. I have one more Twitter story, which is some users are now able to download their Twitter archives, which is all their tweets ever, which is a little scary for some people probably. Mine are kind of boring, but they're starting with just like a small number of English language Twitter users. But on the Twitter engineer blog, they say that it'll be out to everyone within the next couple months. So that's exciting and a step in like a nice direction for owning your tweets. You couldn't do it before. So yeah, that's the last. The one thing they don't tell you though is that they're not saying how often you'll be able to grab your archive, like if it'll be every day or if it'll just be once a year, which Dave Weiner from Scripting News said might be an issue. But anyways, I was excited about that. I'm kind of interested. Yeah.
Yeah, did they put it in a document?
It's actually just like an HTML website that you can like search through. I think you can even retweet your old tweets. But yeah, and it's just like you'll know you have it if you go to your Twitter settings and you go all the way down. It'll be the last option if they've given it to you already. It just like says like download my tweets. So yeah.
Not one of them yet.
I only have it on my personal account. I don't have it on my other two yet, but yeah, I'm excited. Let's see what else do we have. Yeah. Yes. Well, Gander only has like 50 tweets, so his wouldn't be a very big archive, anyways. So another thing that I thought was really cool is this. He's kind of like a writer, inventor, engineer. He calls himself a futurist. Ray Kurzweil is now the director of engineering at Google. He's done a lot of advocacy and writing about sort of the melding of human brain and machine to make humans more healthy, live longer, smarter. Just sort of, some people are a little creeped out by that concept. But anyways, it should be an interesting change for Google. It'll be cool to see kind of what he does with some of their products like speech recognition and machine learning. So that was a story I thought was interesting. Yeah, and let's see, what else? A couple other things. Well, earlier, I was like Elise and I and a couple other people in our office were talking about treadmill desks and how they look cool. And sort of on that subject, there's this company, Lumo Body Tech. Let's see, they launched their posture sensor on Kickstarter this summer, and it was really successful. And so the company just got $5 million in funding yesterday. But the sensor, like, you clip it onto your back, and it tells you if you're slouching, and it sends it a message to your phone as well, so you can kind of track your slouching progress. And as a chronic sloucher, that probably would be something that I would hate, but would be good for me.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, and then the last little story I have is in New York, the tech scene here is mostly consumer-based, but on Tuesday, Fred Wilson, who's the head of the Union Square Ventures, it's one of the big venture capital funds, went to the Enterprise Tech Meetup, which normally is, I go to it most of the time. It's kind of small and I don't know, like not that buzzy. And he's one of the most prominent people in tech. So, and he went and talked about how enterprise is sort of the way things are going, which is a little bit scary for a lot of New York tech startups probably. But it's interesting, anyways, to see this sort of push, and especially for us because we've always been an enterprise company. So it's kind of nice to see other people seeing the value of that, I guess. Yeah, those are my stories, and I think Elise has an app of the week to talk about.
Yeah, is it Are we talking about Google Maps again?
Oh, I was gonna.
My favorite. Or
I was gonna say that Evernote.
Evernote, yeah. So let's see. Evernote is trying to be like Evernote Food 2.0. To be like the only food app that you ever use. So it has like recipes and restaurant recommendations, and it shows your like past meals that you've had, and yeah. So
It's cool.
yeah, it might be helpful for the holidays for all your cooking needs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think
for looking up the goddamn the roast is toast alternate plans on the fly.
Yes. Well, just think about it. Like, if let's say you're making a roast beef, and so first you store a recipe in Evernote, then the recipe isn't very good, and your roast beef is awful. Evernote can kind of suggest to you restaurants nearby that could maybe offer something similar to roast beef, and salvage your holiday, perhaps. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, this is a good app. You can download it in the App Store, I think. So yeah, I think that's all we have this week. But we will be back again. And if there are stories that you think are interesting that you'd like us to cover, just send them our way. You can tweet at us. We'll put all our Twitter handles in the video below. And
all the articles that we referenced today.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so until next week, or maybe the week after because it's the holidays next week, we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.